Hi YouTubers, or YouTube community. I just wanted to say I hope you're well today. I am going to be making, I've got my cup of tea, and I'm going to be making a video today about my reading pile that I recently got. I went to a mobile bus with Leeds City Council and they had a library in there a couple of days ago, and I was able to loan out all of these books for 3 weeks. So far I've only scan read them. I haven't actually read any of them, and I do want to read all of them, but I thought I'd go through them with you. So the first book I've got is a Greek island book. You see that? Greek islands. And it's a Lonely Planet guide, and basically I love Greece. I love Greek culture. I have a lot of Greek friends, and I had a best friend who was half Greek for about 15 years, and so I also had another friend in Paris from Athens called Marilena, and so I know Greek culture fairly well, but I want to learn more and go to Greece. So I've got this Greek Islands Lonely Planet guide, which I'm hoping will teach me some good information about, well, it says here about the Greek islands ignite the imagination and satisfy the soul with a history laced in mythical tales and sold through ancient sun-bleached ruins. So I'm going to learn about sites, beaches, activities, courses, tours, festivals and events, sleeping, eating, drinking, entertainment, shopping, and information and transport. So I'm going to be learning all about basically planning a holiday in Greek, in either Athens or the Saronic Gulf Islands or the Cyclades or Crete, Dodecanese, Ionian Islands. Basically it's a guide to Greek island hopping. So you discover the island's beach coves and turquoise waters, and every time you disembark a ferry, it's like encountering a new country. The wild herbs, the cheese pie, the blue and white churches, the streetscapes, the archaeological treasures, and the welcoming islanders themselves. So that's my first book, Greek Islands. So I put that here. And the second book I've got is actually called The Auschwitz Photographer, and it's a book by Maurizio Onis and Luca Crippa. It says on the front from the Daily Express that it's horror in sharp focus, important because the world must know. And the reason I got this book is because I really want to recommend to everyone, who may only be 30 people, but whoever watches this video, I really want to recommend a film called From Hilde with Love. I don't often write reviews on films anymore, but this film really was fantastic. I saw it at Hyde Park Picture House in Leeds last week, and it's a film by Hans Copper, I think, and it's a true story. It's based on a true story about it's a love story, a beautiful, beautiful love story, and it's about a woman called Hilde and her partner, who are both in the anti-Nazi resistance during the war, and I think Hilde's helping to circulate anti-Nazi propaganda, part of the resistance, and she's then falls pregnant with her partner. And it's all about her journey through pregnancy, in which she, like me, during pregnancy was incarcerated in prison for being a defiant voice, for being a subversive voice against systemic abuse. And so she suffered gravely from gross systemic abuse, and it's a very, well, I won't give away the ending, but it's incredibly powerful. I wouldn't watch it if you're easily shaken up. If you like to be real and be a realist and learn about how I looked death in the eyes. I did it 50,000 times. If you want to learn about Auschwitz and the Holocaust and all the horrors that happen when abuses of power are left unchallenged, then this book looks pretty good. It's called When Germany Invaded Wilhelm Brus's native Poland in 1939. He was asked to swear allegiance to Hitler and join the Wehrmacht. He refused. He was deported to Auschwitz as a political prisoner number 3444. A trained portrait photographer, he was ordered by the SS to record the inner workings of the camp. He took identification photographs of prisoners as they entered. Went on to capture the criminal medical experiments of Joseph Mengele and also recorded executions. Between 1940 and 1945, Brass took around 50,000 photographs of the horror around him. It was a job that saved his life. Eventually, Brass's conscience wouldn't allow him to hide behind his camera any longer. He risked everything by joining the camp's resistance movement, faking documents for prisoners and trying to smuggle images to the outside world to reveal what was happening. Then, as liberation approached, Brass refused SS orders to destroy his photographs, because the world must know, he said. Recreated from extensive research and interviews of Brass's children, this true story of horror, hope and courage sits at the very centre of Holocaust history. And it's a remarkable tale of survival against the odds, and enthralling book. That's from the Sydney Morning Herald, so excuse me, that's second on my list. Teach myself about history. We've got travel, and the third is one called The Beautiful and the Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald, I believe. Yeah, F. Scott Fitzgerald. I actually did my dissertation on The Great Gatsby, so I'm particularly enthralled by the Beat Generation literature of the Jazz Age. And this is all about the Jazz Age. It's about Anthony Patch and Gloria Gilbert are the golden children of the Jazz Age. They marry and embark on a life of glittering parties, lavish expenditure and scandalous revelry. When the money dries up, their marriage founders. In this wistful novel, Fitzgerald portrays the decline of youthful promise with devastating clarity. It sounds really good. I mean, it sounds amazing. What's the first line? The first line is, in 1913, when Anthony Patch was 25, 2 years were already gone since irony, the Holy Ghost of this later day, had, theoretically at least, descended upon him. I don't quite understand that line, but with Fitzgerald you usually have to delve in to get immersed in the story first. Tender as the Night, I've read that. The Great Gatsby, I've read that. He wrote The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Yeah, those are different books, but looks really, really good. I'm really looking forward to reading this. That's my third book, Vintage Fitzgerald, The Beautiful and Damned. My fourth book is called The Lagos Wife. Now, the librarian in this council hub bus in Holbeck, where I got these books, she actually said to me, this is the one you should read first. She really recommended this. This is more of a non-fiction story. I can read the blurb to you if you like. It's a day like any other when Nicole Oruwari disappears from her palatial house in the heart of Lagos. No one, not her husband, not her glamorous group of friends, not her family back in London, knows where she is. As the investigation turns up nothing but dead ends, her aunt Claudine flies to Nigeria to take matters into her own hands. As she digs into her niece's life as an expat wife, she uncovers hidden truths that will bring to light shocking secrets and a buried story. It's a brilliantly original novel about family, motherhood, identity and diaspora with a crime thriller twist, a gripping mystery and a nuanced examination of clashing cultures. She's the perfect wife and it's the perfect murder. So Pandora Sykes gobbled it all up. That's what it says on the front. top left, Pandora's like gobbled up the book, so if Pandora thinks it's good, it must be good. I do enjoy books that put a woman at the forefront, or especially a mother actually, because often they're kind of locked away and expected to just raise their children, even though they have a lot to offer the world and a lot to represent about maternity rights. So looking forward to the Lagos Wife, everyone. I'll let you know what I think. And the fourth book is this book called Women in the War. Women in the War. So the reason why I brought this book out, I haven't actually read the blurb yet, but I recently found out that Holbeck, which is an area of South Leeds where I lived for 14 months, actually has a history of involvement in the war, more so than any other areas of Leeds I've heard about. It was actually the nurses in Holbeck who helped to nurse the soldiers injured in the war back to good health. So I believe they did use St Matthew's Church, or they used some of the old buildings in Holbeck, which I got to know fairly well because I was living there for 15 months, and the nurses there helped the soldiers to recover from being injured in the trenches and things. Similar to the film Pearl Harbor. And I'm particularly interested in nursing at the moment. But anyway, this book is absorbing and important, says Joan Bakewell. It's poignant and inspiring. Women in the War tells the first-hand stories of 10 of the last surviving female members of Britain's greatest generation. Whether flying Spitfires to the front line or aiding code-breaking at Bletchley Park, these women made crucial contributions to the war effort and embarked on adventures that changed the course of their lives. Lucy Fisher artfully weaves together contemporary interviews with wartime diaries and letters, creating a gripping oral history that will stay with you long after you've put it down. And the tagline is, the greatest heroines of Britain's greatest generation. So, oh, and the foreword is by a baroness as well. You know that it's going to be a good book if the foreword's written by a baroness. That is that much I know. Yeah, well, Marguerite Turner. The first page is Marguerite Turner, 18th of May 1923, age 16 at the outbreak of war. Role, nurse in the Voluntary Aid Detachment. When she thinks of the war today, it is the scent of lilacs and the roar of unseen aircraft overhead that are evoked in Marguerite Turner's mind. Shocking stuff. I was a auditory witness to a mass shooting in Paris in 2015. I heard about 15 gunshots. 5 people were killed down the road from me, and I saw blood splattered on the floor a few days afterwards in the 2015 Bataclan mass shooting, hate crime in Paris. So this is interesting for me because although I did not fight in the war or survive a war, I do have somewhat an understanding of what it means to be in a state of civil unrest. So yeah, that's Women in the War. Looking forward to reading that. 2 more left, everyone. So we've got Army Girls here. Army Girls. Got this from Leeds City Council mobile bus outside Holbeck Together in Holbeck a few days ago. Army Girls. Shout out to the feminine representation in this book collection. The secrets and stories of military service from the final few women who fought in the Second World War. They actually fought in the war, not just nursed people in the war. Army Girls is the intimate story of the final few women who served in the Second World War and are still alive to tell their tale. They were female soldiers in a conflict Britain wanted to fight without conscripting women. It was a vain hope. By December 1941, for the first time in British history, women were called up, and the generation of girls came of age in khaki, serving king and country. Barbara trained to drive army style in giant trucks, and Grace swapped her servant's pinafore for battle dress and a steel hat. Martha turned down officer status for action on a gun site, and Olivia won the Croix de Guerre in France. Commemorating the 80th anniversary of the National Service Act that compelled women to serve for the first time in British history, Army Girls captures incredible true stories from the Second World War's biggest female military force, the Auxiliary Territorial Service, and the oldest, the First Aid Nursing Yeomanry. Army girls like Maud, Vera, Jean, Betty, and Nanza share precious memories and letters in a narrative that travels back in time and sheds new light on being young, female, and at war. Uniquely, this moving Second World War memoir is embedded in the present day. Written in the midst of a global pandemic, the parallels and paradoxes between two very different national crises are explored in a book that honours the women who fought on in extreme youth and are once more in great old age. Best kind of history about women, says Lucy Worsley, OBE. Well, that sounds just absolutely fascinating. She's a Sunday Times best-selling author, Tessa Dunlop. So I'm looking forward to that, everyone. Army Girls. Especially, I think, worth mentioning as a side note on this book that, and I know not much about the military. I had one partner in the Edinburgh military once, but I don't know very much. I'm not from a military family, sadly, although I'm sure on my Irish and English side and Scottish and Welsh side there are a lot of my ancestors who did fight in the wars. I just don't know about them. But I have a lot of respect for anyone who, for any women who, do more than their expected duties of raising children and contribute to the wider world and have the strength to do that, because it's not easy. But I did recently hear a very sad story about a young girl who can't have been older than 23, and I wish I could remember her name, but she was in the military in the United Kingdom, and she was like any man, I don't know whether she was a lance corporal or what she was doing really, to be honest, but she was in the military, she was in the army, training, doing everything you do with all your comrades, but she was a victim of harassment from, I believe, someone else in her army, a male. At least that's what the news story says. But either way, I've read two stories recently about a man and a woman. A man in Yorkshire, actually, who was found in his army barracks, dead on his bed, having been there for days. He'd suffered from gross neglect and also from bullying and discrimination from the seniors. And this young girl who was trying to start a career in the army, which is difficult. There's a lot of pushback against women serving in any frontline service in the whole of the UK, to be honest, but especially in the army. But she actually committed suicide because she was harassed by someone in her network, and she was just a young girl, and it tormented her. And then she took her own life. So I think being a woman in the army is incredibly noble and incredibly brave, and it says a lot about a woman's character when she can break the norms and fight through all the prejudice in her youth, in her 20s, to do something that not that many women have done before. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But they all deserve our respect, and they all deserve dignity. Anyone who's trying to have a profession and, not just be the token woman, but actually contribute something meaningful and powerful and skilled. It's a shame that it ends up the way for certain minorities who are, sadly marginalised. Especially the dad, the story I read about the dad in the army recently who was found dead after 2 days and he had 2 children. But it was apparently just through bullying that's what led to that happening, and I think he'd been prescribed some drugs as well. But yeah, it's just really sad. Anyway, big respect for the army girls who did something very, very, very memorable and very brave. And last but not least, we have The Staycation. This book, I can't lie, I did flick through. I'm not quite sure if it's my cup of tea. It's about a travel agent who hasn't been on a plane in years, and she wants to make a good impression on her client, who was injured saving an old lady. So this travel agent has been asked by Jake to invent the ultimate escape and recreate her most magical holidays from the confines of his hotel room. As their perfect mini breaks around the globe take on a life of their own, Hester wonders if her world of make-believe is all starting to feel just a little too real. So yeah, I'm just trying to work out, if he's injured in a hotel room and there's a travel agent, how is she going to plan a holiday for him if he's injured in a hotel room? I mean, unless she does, what's it called, you know, when you put on those machines, alternate reality, or I guess projectors, movies, books, but it's not going to actually be travel if he's injured, is it? So I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, I just don't. But I love the idea of a staycation, saving money, staying near to home and just enjoying yourself. Cressida MacLachlan, I think that's a Scottish name, she's a best-selling author, and I am looking forward to reading this. I just don't quite understand the concept, but I think that's just because my brain's a bit slow these days. Anyway, so this is our reading list. We've got The Staycation by Cressida MacLachlan, Army Girls by Tessa Dunlop, Women in the War by our old Lucy Fisher, Lagos Wife by Vanessa Waters, The Beautiful and Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Auschwitz Photographer by Maurizio Olnis and Luca Crippa, and last but not least, The Greek Islands by Our Lonely Planet. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed my book, what I'm reading video. I'm hoping to head out to a gala now. It's a shame the weather's not very good for it, but thanks for joining me and have a lovely weekend, everyone.